Hello, we are back for day 7 of our 12 days of comfort and color. I'm glad you're here. I feel like it's so exciting to be kind of in the second half of our 12 days because by now we've painted a bunch of stockings. I can't wait to see everybody's work. So I'm going to first show you what we're painting today, and it's this one. I love that it's just sort of simple. We really are keeping to 2 colors, but I think it's got something. So that's what we're painting today. Here's my tiny version of it. So at home, if you wanted to put some blue around it and fade it out, you could do that, but we're not going to do that part today. Let's get into our list of cozy. I have someone working on our fireplace upstairs, so if it's loud, I'm sorry. Grab your mug, your holiday mug. I do specifically love this one because look how tall. It's so tall, and I love that for tea. So get a mug of something that you love. I need to cut my little wick again. Make sure you get a candle or some essential oils, or maybe you don't do any of that. You just put some lotion on. I just put that onto my desk. I'll clean it up later. Okay, lighting my candle. And then we want to make sure we're warm or we're cozy. We have a blanket. And I've got mine today. Nice on my lap. And then move that stuff out of the way so you don't get burnt and you don't dip your brush into your mug. Am I right? Okay, let's talk about supplies. For supplies, we're going to need a 6" by 9" piece of cold press watercolor paper. And if you have got your template, it looks like this. Don't draw it yet. We're going to make some changes today. We need to have a pencil, a kneaded eraser. This is a size 10 round watercolor brush. I'll make sure that that's linked in the description. I have been using an ultra fine point Sharpie, and I think that might be nice, but for today you may actually want to go with a thicker one. So I'll test it out for you with a fine point Sharpie as well, and we'll see what we like. We need watercolor paints. I've got these ones, which I love, and a towel and a little jar of water. Don't keep your water too tall in there. 2 more things, okay? We're almost through. A spray bottle for your paints and a craft heat gun if you've got one. And we're ready to go. Make sure you're comfy and you are cozy, and let's get started. For now, we only need our pencil, our eraser, our paper, and our template. And we'll just stop and observe for a moment. I like this one because it's got a simplicity about it. It's also got a little bit of vintage vibes. I really love this long, skinny, curvy little tag on it with the fuzz ball. I think it's funny that it's just one fuzz ball. I like that. It's kind of silly. Notice it's a repeating pattern, so I stuck one over here, but I actually feel like I could have, I don't know, it's probably right on, but I kind of want to see a little bit more of that. I do think it was a bit hard to find straight lines when sort of... Okay, we're going to keep moving, but I can only assume you heard that, and that was my cat knocking over an entire cart of supplies into watered glasses that were sitting on the floor. So, okay. Oh, cats. Okay, so here's what I was saying is that, you know, the sides of our stocking are not perfectly straight, right? This one dips in, like, you know, they're not straight, but the pattern would be. So I'm testing myself to see if I got it. But trying to find sort of straight lines against the outside lines was one thing. I was like, oh, that could be a little bit of a struggle. So just looking at that, and what else do I love about this one? I don't know. I just love it. This one's taller and skinnier, so we're going to get to sketching in 2 seconds here. I did think, though, since this was my little example, and I did this obviously very quickly on Procreate, and see how it only has 1. You could do that if you wanted a bigger design. But look how thick the black lines are, and I was like, this could be a really fun one to try a thicker Sharpie on. So I've got that one, and we'll do that towards the end. So let's get to it. We are... Oh, look, I just wrote it on my paper. We're going to kind of take our little template and move it kind of far down into this corner. Don't get too close, and I like to make sure that it's even on both sides. And I'll tip it just a little. I do want the extra space to be here, not centered on both sides, right? And from here, we'll start to trace, and we'll do it kind of from here down and nothing above that. And we will press lightly on our pencils so we can erase easily. And we'll stop it at about here. Okay, and then from here, we're going to actually take and move this up where we want it to go. So you really want to keep, when you're moving it, move it within those lines so it stays kind of straight. We'll take it all the way up, kind of as high as you can go, and sort of match that margin space. And let's do as much as you can get under. Oh, you know what? We don't want this dip, okay? So skip the dip. And we're gonna come up to the top. Still light, in case this turns out wonky, we wanna be able to erase it. I'm coming here, but since I know what I actually wanna do is connect these two, I can just lift this up now. And I'll turn my paper. I'm already gonna erase what I followed that dip for a second. And then I'm gonna take it up. On both sides, I'm just connecting. Carefully connecting the both of them together. Now you could leave that top if you wanted, but what I was able to do here is save some space. So if you look at it, it would have been lower, and I was able to kind of bring that up so we had more space for the pattern on the bottom. And then next I want us to get this little tag in. Let's observe it tips over to the right, down, and to the right again. Down, right again. And it's coming kind of up and over. So we need to make sure that it would curve. Let's find where we want it to be. Curve it up a little bit. Oh, let's zoom in on that, shall we? Okay. And so we'll find where we want it to be. It's just kind of like always. I guess I do the same thing. I leave about a pencil width, and then the tag would be right after that. And this one is, I don't know, somewhere around a pencil width, but you do what you like. I've got this as a beginning. I want it to come out to about here. So I'm gonna just put a mark. Let's see how low we want it to be. Honestly, decently low, more than halfway down, if you were to kind of divide up that space. And so you can maybe put, we want to make sure we've got space on both sides for this circle. What if you just did this loose circle now, and then we know where we're going? And I put a mark here because that helps me out. Be like this, I'll follow that along. Okay. Now I'm going to turn my paper. I'm going to take this, curve it out to this one. Right, and now we're just kind of following. Remember we said it comes to the right, it comes down, and it comes to the right again. So I'm going to end up on this side. And then if I don't like it, I will adjust it. But I think I do. So I'm going to follow it up with a line next to it, which will thicken it up and make it look like a string, a ribbon, fabric, whatever this is made of. And just making sure that I like it. Then, okay, just like anything, you're asking yourself which item is in front. The tag is in front, so there should be nothing going through it, no stocking lines going through it. And my pencil got a little dark, so I'm just gonna lighten it up a bit. Make sure it's how you want it. If you want to make any adjustments, we'll do it now while we've got pencil and eraser. And then I actually want this puffball. I do want it to be puffy now. Like we have done before, you don't actually have to. You could do it as a circle and then just add the Sharpie as the squiggly line. That's up to you. Okay, so let's see. I think that's good for the outline. And then we're going to get into this. So like we talked about, the main thing is that they would be orderly and in somewhat of a line, because this is a fabric pattern and it's laid out and this is cut out of it. Okay, so let's get this top part done with in the beginning. It's maybe 2 fingers, just like my thing. See, I got just my fingernail part right here. But you make it as big as you want. You're the boss. And this is going to be up and down and up and down. Not quite like rickrack, if you're familiar with rickrack, but a good pattern here. Mine got a little pointy and I want to round those out. And I think that'll be better. And now we'll get into the flowers themselves. I'm gonna flip this over for a minute and just show you the flower. This way I can just kind of do it hard so you can see it really well. It's going to be a scoop down like this, tighter at the top than the bottom. Scoop down, like maybe a horseshoe a little bit, and then bump, 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 bump. I don't know what the bumps meant, but you know, we're gonna zigzag it, okay? Then we'll take right from the center, we'll come down, and then we're gonna have leaves here. These ones are a little bit smaller. So these are like footballs or like a sad face, a smiley face, okay? Same thing down here. These ones might be a little bit bigger. Okay, and that is what we're gonna be doing on repeat. So let's do it. If you wanted to take a piece of paper or a, let's see, what paper do I have? A piece of paper or a ruler, you could, you absolutely can. But we also can wing it. What if we start with the first one and then you might use it to line it up? So right about here, I want a little bit of space between the top and my first flower. And I want to have enough space for the leaves and margin over here. So I'm going to come in about here. So maybe put a dot, see what you think. And then I'm going to go like this, round it out. Remember, this is like a horseshoe. And then we're going to come down, up, down, up. Then we'll take our stem down right from the center. Maybe, I don't know, 1.5 height of the flower. And then from here, we're going to make these leaves and then another set on the bottom. Do the leaves however you like leaves. Unless you want to copy this exactly, that's always up to you. And there we go. I feel like it's real shadowy today. I'm working on it for you. Okay, next one, we want maybe a finger's worth of space underneath. And now is when we really want to follow that line. So if you wanted to, you absolutely could do like this. Let that be the beginning. I'm putting dots for the top of my flower and the bottom, and then a stem. And now I've lined it up. That's optional. We don't have to do any of that. Remember, we got that horseshoe. Press lightly on your pencil because then if it's wonky, you can adjust it. We do want these to be pretty similar in size. I already can tell this one's bigger. So I'm gonna just do a little bit of an adjustment here. Not a big adjustment though, because like we don't need perfection. Okay, I like it. We'll get our leaves on here. So I am kind of looking at these leaves here when I sketch these. And that's gonna just help me get them to be more similar. I do have space for another one, so we'll do the same thing again. Lay your finger down. I think I'll wing it now though. I'm gonna get that horseshoe in there. Remember, it's a little tighter at the top than the bottom, and then we'll do a zigzag. And here we go. 1, 2. And I don't think I want to try to add that extra one. Look, I kind of forced it here, and it really is the wrong direction. So I'll just do the 2, and then we'll look at it later and see what we think. Once again, this should be lined up sideways as well. I can fit about my finger between them. So if we tried for that, we just want it over here. I don't want to make sure it's all fitting on. I want it to be cut off because that is like fabric. Horseshoe, zigzag, and then a straight line. So now for my straight line, I mean, if you were to take this one, oh dear, look at that. I guess I should have used the pencil or the paper. That's funny. Look how off it is. You know, okay, you might want to test yourself. I'm going to put it here. 1, 2. It's like not a big deal, but man, when you hold it up and see it, it's hard to unsee it. I guess that's better. So here, we'll take it here. And what I like to do is put your paper so it's lined up with all 3 and then gently try to pull it over like this. And then you could use it again. And you even, watch this. You've got this one here. You can see where the top of it is. Pull your stem down. Top of it. Come over. Pull your stem down if you want to. okay? But to me, that's gonna line me up way better. I can already tell it'll line me up better than I was. Okay, so now I'll adjust these slightly. We're always using both pencil and eraser. I don't know how people do the art where they take a Sharpie and they're like, it's just like this, and it's literally perfect every time. That's just, I've never had that. You know, like Art Hub for Kids or Art for Kids Hub. I don't know what it's called. I always say it backwards and my kids make fun of me, but it's the cutest one where he draws and there's a kid who draws next to him, but it's Sharpie. That's serious business. Okay, I'm getting like crooked, so I'm going to come back and adjust those, but for now I'm going to get them on there, and then I'll be able to see which ones I want to adjust. So we've got horseshoe, zigzag, and it looks like I could have fit just the top, so I just added the top of this one here. I will be adjusting one or both of these, and then let's kind of look at it to see if we would see another one. It's this, it'd be about this far, so it seems like I might see just a little bit of the one again. Maybe, oh, you know what? I bet you we would see a tip of the leaves. That's cute, right? Always adjusting, make sure you like it, make sure it makes sense. And now, so the center of these stems should really be in the center of the flower, because that's where it connects. And so if you haven't done that, like me, you may want to come and just adjust them. I think you'll probably be happier in the long run. This looks like Pac-Man or something, so I want to tighten up the top. And we're almost ready to get our paints mixed up. Almost there. Okay, great. And now they're not all the same, and I can decide, do I want to change them? I think I might actually make this one bigger. Look, it just took one line to make it bigger. That's cool. Let's see, we'll zoom out. I feel good. So this is where you're looking at yours for a minute though. Really take the time to assess it with pencil and eraser before you get to your paints. You're much more likely to be satisfied with your final result. So I'm going to move pencil and eraser out of the way, grab paintbrush and paints, and we're going to mix up our colors. I do love this Christmas palette because it's a lot of the same colors for the holiday season. You can spray your paints if you want, but we're not using many of them today, so really I think I can just kind of spray this corner and call it good. So from here, I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to dip it into my water, and I'm going to pick what color red. And I do want you to notice something about this. Look, it's like a dark, solid, vibrant red. So I want you to maybe test these out and see which color you want to use. If you have a paint swatch thing for whatever set you are using, you may just stop and look for a minute and think, which one do you want it to be? I think I will use either the 4th or the 5th one down. I might go with that 5th. I like how it is really bright. It's like almost neon. So 5th one down on this set is what I'll use today. But look at your set and play with it for a minute and see what you think. If I don't like it when I get it here, I won't do it. But I used the new set that I just did the review for on here, but I know not everybody has that. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe a combo of the 4th and the 5th is it for me. And I took my brush full of water and I got in here and I really got a bunch of paint on my brush. Then I swiped it onto my palette. Now I'll go into my water and back, but I don't want a ton of water. I do kind of want a ton of paint in here because I want it to look like a nice flat wash, but I want it to be really nice solid red. I think this almost looks like acrylic paint today, or certainly gouache paint, and I think that's a really cool effect. So you want it to be a puddle with enough water to move around, loaded up with paint as well today. And that's the color I'm going to start with. So when I need to replenish it, I know I'll be using the 4th one down, maybe a little of the 5th one down, and mixing those. But if you just pick from one, it'll be easier for you when the time comes. I'm going to clean out my brush, take time to appreciate how beautiful that water is. And then I'm going to grab some of this neon green. So for me, I love that one. If you don't have this set, I would use a green and maybe a yellow together to get a nice, light, bright, happy green. That's something specific about this one, I think. And if you want something different, you can do that too. I think this would be really cute with red and teal instead of the lime green too. Okay, I got my puddles made up. That's all we need for today. Just realize these are nice, good, solid puddles, but I probably will be replenishing those as we go. Okay, so you're not limited. Ooh, I need a stretch. Ooh, if you need a stretch, this is a good moment for it. Okay, and now we are on to our paper. Okay, so I'm going to say let's start with the red. It's just kind of calling my name. It's so vibrant. I want to start with the top up here, and then we'll kind of work top to bottom, and so that we don't accidentally bump our wet paint, and then we'll dry it and get into our green. So we're going to kind of limit our water from the beginning. You don't want to go in and get a full brush full of water and then start. You'll feel out of control. So instead, if you clean your brush, for cleaning, go press, press, press to the bottom instead of wiggle, okay? Then from there, I'm going to wipe my brush just once on my towel and then take and get into my paint like this, maybe the first third or half of my brush in here, okay? Then I'm going to begin. So we'll take the tip of our brush and run that along the edge and the top, okay? And then start leaning into the belly right away. As we kind of take it, I'm already replenishing my paint. And I'm trying to do this efficiently so we get a nice flat wash. So that means not working tiny and slow. We'll lean into that belly. And when I get down here, I want to really intentionally follow this curve. And I want to try to do it on my first try or soon after so that I'm not going back and forth over this. I've replenished my paint, I'm gonna say 3 times already, just for reference, and really follow that curve nicely. So the edge of your brush is, the tip of your brush is running along the edges, and you lean into the belly to cover it more efficiently. This part here, I needed to be way lighter on the tip of my brush because it's so small. And I also took my brush right there and lifted it up, light on the tip of my brush for that corner. And I also took my brush more vertical, and all of those things together really help you get into those tight spaces. Oh, I hope you're loving this. If yours isn't as dark as you want, you needed more paint in your puddle. And if you have a bunch of lines everywhere, it's drying while you work. So try to err on the side of a little bit more paint in your puddles. No, water, sorry, I got distracted. Try to err on the side of a little bit more water on your brush. I got distracted for a second. Okay, now I'm gonna just start to fill these in. And the same thing again, I do not want to have a brush full of water or I won't have control. I need some precision here. So for those tips, I'm really light on the tip of the brush. And then for this bottom part of like the horseshoe, I can put a little bit more pressure. And once it's done, I'm just going to take it and move on. Now, I don't want to get too caught up in the idea that these aren't perfectly the same, but if you'll notice on this one, I noticed it was a little bit bigger, and if I don't go all the way to my pencil marks, I can erase them later. So I'm going to actually leave it like that, right? And it'll completely, a million% dry before I get in there with my eraser, because otherwise you could accidentally just smear that red paint and it's probably going to be ruined at that point, Uh-oh, I think I maybe changed my color of my paint just a hair, so I'm going to try to adjust it back. And I think I probably just have a little bit more paint in it this time. So now I'm actually going to clean my brush out, dry it, and lift a little bit out, and now it'll match the others better. So just watch for that kind of thing. And you also want to watch that your puddle is really just the color that you want it to be. It has the right amount of water. And when you're replenishing your puddles today, because we are working in smaller spaces, do the tip of your brush into your water, not a whole brush full of water. And we're just moving along, filling these guys in. Okay, I have a question for today, and it's, what is your favorite Christmas cookie? I just want to know. I have no reason, but I'll tell you mine. I have two. Pecan tassies my mom makes, although I just saw something that was like pecan bars or something that looked really good and similar as well. But yeah, pecan tassies. And then what's the other one? Gingerbread cookies. If I have those, I'm happy. I don't need any other dessert or pie for all of the holiday, but I feel like we all maybe have some passion about this, so I want to hear what yours are. Okay, I'm taking my red, and the palm for me is going to be red. Maybe for you it's going to be different colors, so you just make sure you like what you got going. I'm replenishing my paint. And then right here, so that when we do shapes like this, you really can lean into your brush like this, but then from that, you want to kind of pull out and get this jagged shape. So you're pulling out. And then you're light on the tip of your brush for that part because you want it to be tiny. You want it to look jagged in some way. So, and then you can continue to pull out to get the shape that you want if you want a little bit more, right? And then you're good to go. So just a nice solid coat on this one. And now we have finished, let me double check it. Yep, we finished all the red. So I'm going to take this to the dryer, give it a full dry, and we will move on to our green. It's completely dry, and I can tell because I can't see the light reflecting on it anymore, and I've also put my hand on it to touch it. I just don't want these colors to bleed today because I just think they're really lovely. I am refreshing my lime green puddle just to make sure that it was kind of exactly how I wanted it to be when I started. And now I'll start with doing this tag light on the tip of your brush for this part, and then you can lean into it. Since using a brush is about pressure, when you get to spaces like this, you can just try to do it by pressing the right thickness and pulling it down. We don't want to overwork it, but there's no test. You can fill it in any way you want. Maybe lift up any excess pooling or puddling if you've got it. And then we're just going to go, and I'm going to start top to bottom now. First doing right down that stem. So this is very light on the tip of your brush. And we'll fill in our leaves. I like to do them by going on their outsides and then pressing in. This you could practice if you wanted to, brush control like we did, I'm gonna say on maybe day 2 of the 30 days of tips and tricks. And that would just be, instead of pressing and outlining like this, you would just lean into your brush. But I think this is a good way for today. I'm totally digging this one. Okay, I wanted to talk for a second about the flower shape. If any of you are looking at your flowers and you're finding yourself frustrated that they're not all exactly the same, because they're not, because they're hand sketched, right? I just want to tell you that on things like this, it all comes together because we already have other things going for us. The same color, the same size, the same idea. It's orderly. So there's so many other things that are going to bring this together other than it being perfectly symmetrical and same all along the way. I did want to tell you, I am refreshing my green puddle. I'm not, you know, I've dipped into that puddle several times now, so make sure you're doing the same. I can't believe we're almost done with the painting here. Okay, we'll dry it up, and pause me if I'm too fast here, okay? And then we'll dry the whole thing, and we're gonna come back together because we're gonna try 2 kinds of Sharpie. Okay, this is the one I already had done, and this is the one we're doing together. And you can see that this one has the thin Sharpie already on it, and I'm actually gonna go over this and show it to you that way, because then you can kind of quickly decide which one you want to maybe use. It makes me nervous to go over, but I mean, this is thicker than that, so it all should work out. Okay, so here on the top, I'll start whatever feels comfortable. That's the place to start. I already love it. With one line, I love it. It's just a thickness I do not always want. But because this is sort of a bold pattern, and I don't know, it's not competing with much of anything. I'm already a huge fan. Just that. I know I'm going to love it. So this is me. I'm sticking with, this one is the fine point Sharpie. What I usually use and what I used on the rest of it was the ultra fine point. And then now I'm just going to continue going. So why don't you grab whichever one that you want to use, and we are just going to, already, do you see the difference in this thickness? It's a boldness that I wanted to see. The person is fixing the fireplace, and I keep trying to talk louder than him so you can hear him. I did realize what was perfect about him fixing it today is that my kids are coming home tomorrow. My college kids. Okay, I'm not exactly over my other line, but I'm not, I'm not going to worry too much about that because I don't. Yeah, it's the bold line for me. I still have the thin one here so you can compare it, but let's just keep sketching together. I love this part because it should be kind of just mindless. I always want to say mindful. Maybe it's both. I suppose the bummer of me just doing it on top of this one instead of on the new one is that we can't compare them at that point, but you should be able to compare this one to what you're doing. I'm even pressing a little harder on it on this bottom part. Remember how we talked about line weight in one of the 30 tips and tricks videos? I'll try to link that below. I know I just talked about another one too. I'll try to link them both. I wish you were actually in the room with me so you could tell me which one I just mentioned. Brush control. That's it. It's funny, I almost never use this thick of a Sharpie because it's too much of a line for me, but this was the perfect day for it. Okay, I'm almost done with mine. I would love to see your artwork on my Facebook page, Audrey Shantz Art. And you can see each other's work as well, but Facebook is cool because it lets us share pictures. I am going to make this one a little bit bolder too. And then don't forget, I want to also hear your favorite kind of cookie or holiday dessert for no reason at all, except that I want to chat with you. I hope you like this one today. I will see you back here again tomorrow.